When our children are exhibiting certain things, when they're telling us, and they do tell us in uncertain manners, are we listening?
The cultural biases.
We deal with a lot of
the cultural acceptance and lack of acceptance with certain things impacts the way in which that information is received.
My Child and Me viewers, that's what Eliyo was referring to. It's one of our programs. We look at mental health through the lens of culture.
Tales unfold through voices strong, stories told, connections formed. We find our place.
Hello, welcome back to Echoes of Our Community. This is a platform where we look at real stories in order to make real impact. Echoes of Our Community focuses on the issues, the challenges that we might face, but also the good and positive things. So we want to share our stories. We'll have people on this podcast that share stories so that we can do just that. So if you haven't already, want to encourage you to share what you hear, like and subscribe. These are the things we want to do to make sure that we reach as many people as we can so we can serve our community better. On our previous episodes, we had a number of people that came on that shared their stories, and I'm happy to welcome back Eliyo and Stephen, who will be looking at these episodes with us. I hope you have. So let's look at Iyanu's story. What's your take on Iyanu's story?
Well, my take on her story and the challenges with her mental health to the point that she had to drop out of university, I would say is not untypical. There are many students that do end up dropping out because they are not prepared, either from a parent or carer perspective, or just in terms of them doing their due diligence as to how to better position themselves for university. So that wasn't a surprise when I heard that. But I would say that my take on that, when I listened to her, I felt she was quite brave. It takes a lot to recognize that the challenges that you're facing are overwhelming, and you need to just step back from that for a time and regroup and come back, basically. So yeah. I was quite proud of her for being able to do that.
You know, you saying that just reminded me of a story. I think I shared that before. That made me laugh, because for her to be brave, I remember one story that I heard recently about one young girl. She didn't tell her parents that she failed uni, failed in her first year. Yeah. So the parents felt that she was in the second year, the third year, and then she was graduating. So they called all their friends, they called everybody from Nigeria for her graduation. They were going to even have a party. And she still didn't know how she was going to tell them that she was not in uni. So I hear what you're saying in terms of, not being... about being brave. Stephen, how do you feel?
And sorry, can I also say, especially, from our culture, yes, we're very status driven. Yes. You leaving university, when I'm telling all my friends that you're in university, it's not heard of. So for her to take the courage to step back, I applaud her for that. Yeah.
It's a painful story. It really is a painful story, but it's understandable in view of the fact that, again, like you said there, preparedness. How prepared really was she for this? What was the home life really like for her to be able to establish that, I want to go to uni? And how stable of mind to be able to say, I want to go. Who did she have a discussion with, about, okay, this is what I'd like to do. this is how I'm feeling about it.
I don't really want to.
Or I don't really want to go to university. Yeah. Like with my, I've shared this story about my daughter, my third born, who was doing very well. She's a very, very bright young lady. Did her A-levels, but she did her A-levels smack in the middle of COVID. Mm. All right. And then, yes, as a cultural Nigerian proud father, your two sisters have gone, if it had been back there, it would have been, no, you're going. But listening to her, I don't want to go right now. And to take that on board, that she doesn't want to go. So, and we didn't push her on that. We didn't push her on that topic because we felt that she knew what she wanted. She'd already shown us. And I think that's another thing to understand as parents, when our children are exhibiting certain things, when they're telling us, and they do tell us
Are we listening?
in uncertain manners, are we listening?
Yeah.
So we didn't push the agenda. Lo and behold, she's in St. Mary's this year, and she's decided of her own free will that now I'm mentally ready. So I think it's important to pay attention to the signs of what they're saying and what they're not saying.
Fantastic.
But also, I want to reflect back on that briefly. She did mention the fact she was experiencing a lot of racism. That is not necessarily something that a parent can prepare you for if they haven't experienced it themselves, especially in an academic setting. And of course, as a student, you've achieved the grades that you've needed to achieve in order for you to be able to gain entrance into university. So as far as you're concerned, your main challenge, and really your only challenge, should be your academics. And of course, your peer groups, just
social
building new
life,
friends and social life. So when you are under siege because of who you are as an individual, those things now are affecting your mental health and well-being, as well as the fact that you're trying to navigate your academics. So those things are not things that you can actually prepare for in advance. These are things that you probably have to ask other people that you know about what they've...
Whether it's in uni or
Yeah.
whether it's in life, it's like there are things that we're just not prepared for. So I hear you. Yeah. And so thank you so much for sharing that, because that throws more light. So in case people need to go back and watch or listen to Iyanu's story, it's quite powerful and emotional, but it's quite real. So I want to encourage us to go back to that. Let's look at another episode, the one of that lovely Amara. I don't know whether you watched that as well. Amara, that she's making impact even with her dyslexia.
Amara, again, her experience is not unusual, especially within our community. Identifying special educational needs is always something that schools seem to either identify early, and maybe a parent may ignore, identify early, but then to get the diagnosis can come quite late, and in doing so, it hinders the progress in terms of academics. And what I've just said is not even exhaustive. There's many different nuances there, but that challenge in and of itself, when you are trying to learn in an academic space and you realize that your peers are at one level and you're at another level, it's difficult. And when you don't know what that thing is, you have no name for it, then it's harder to transition, it's harder to progress. And thankfully, her mom did know. Her mom did know.
I think I would like to, because the idea here is, mom, how what if mom's not there? What other, what could have happened to her? What do you think could have happened to her if she didn't have a mom that pushed that much? That mom that really wanted to do that one from year 3. What could I do? And looking for £1,000 that a lot of families might not necessarily have.
Exactly.
And credit to her mum, because that's the sacrifice that she would have had to have made to be able to even come up with the funds there. And even, let's not talk about the money, let's talk about the fact that she would have to have gone and done a whole lot of research to find out and look into what does this all mean, and not just to go as a Nigerian, go, what have I done? Where have I gone wrong? Not to start blaming herself for, maybe if I'd done this, maybe if this was there, if this was in place, all those things. But to have the mindset to be able to take a step back and then go look into it find out what she needs to find out, and then go forward and
Yeah.
push and push.
I also
and
like the
push.
fact that she, because we're in a culture as well where people like the labeling. They don't really like it. Some parents like they don't want to. I don't want them to say my child is this. I don't want them to say. But she didn't. There's always a positive side of things, and that's what she took on board to say. And that's why when she made that statement that there will be a time that even dyslexia is not going to be a real. There are other things that are going to happen, so it's not going to be a
It's only
problem.
an issue because people make it an issue. Because what is deemed as normal, dyslexia is not considered normal. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it's a gift.
Absolutely.
A child that has dyslexia or autism, it's a gift. They think differently, they do things differently, and it makes them unique.
Yep.
It makes them see the world from a different perspective. And there's nothing wrong with that. We can't all look at the world through the same lens. And it's sad that she had her mum, Amara's mum, had to find £1,000. And it is the case where a lot of people have had to have private diagnoses because the school are not stepping up. They're supposed to do this dyslexia screening if they see that a child is struggling. That not all schools do that automatically. And if you're not a parent that has been properly signposted by the school or signposted by a friend or somebody who actually knows anything in that area, then the child struggles. And unfortunately, while the legislation states that every child has to be able to access curriculum, they can't if they are not properly equipped. If their learning process is not on an equitable ground. So £1,000. Not everybody has £1,000 to access.
I think it's also important, just for the sake of the viewers. So dyslexia, when we looked at the meaning, it's also about people. It might be in different ways because not everybody knows or understands what it is. I think it's about the spelling. Some people, it's their writing. They don't write, they can't write. They can speak well, but not write.
Yes.
And some people, it's their spelling. Is that right? Yeah.
And sometimes it's reading as well.
It's reading as well. Yeah.
And to do with numbers as well.
Yeah, so that's just to throw more light on that. And because at one point in time, I thought maybe I didn't know how to. Sometimes I jump over words and then have to go back to it. So there are elements there that we might have to look at. But as parents or finding out that knowledge. But if the parents are not there, just like we've been saying before, it's about what support systems do we have around us? What community groups? What social networks that will not just shy away from that, but look at that.
But also the school are responsible. They're supposed to signpost because part of their assessment, when you are doing classwork, when you're doing homework, when you're doing tests in class, they should see that that maybe your level of participation is not corresponding to what you're writing. They should be able to look at the fact that your writing is not legible, that the way you spell, for example, you might spell C as in when you're seeing things as C as in the sea, SEA. Those things are things that if you see consistently, as a teacher, you're supposed to be looking at. But again, in fairness, class of 30, you can only be as diligent as you can be. But the school is responsible to also signpost.
God help us.
But I also want to say that when the school has also pointed this out, then the information goes home. What the parents also do or don't do can also have a greater impact on whether that child gets what they need.
Which is what Amara's mom did.
Most important time that they get, that signposting said, okay, we have this. His mum and dad get onto it so that they can get the help they need well ahead of time and not delay it unnecessarily. So it goes into places or it prolongs the matter before they're able to get the help that they need.
But it's like in the program that we do, My Child and Me.
Yeah.
The cultural biases.
Oh, we deal with a lot of that.
The cultural acceptance and lack of acceptance with certain things impacts the way in which that information is received.
My Child and Me viewers, that's what Eliyo was referring to. It's one of our programs. We look at mental health through the lens of culture, where we talk about these different things. And please look it up, sign up on it, because I tell you, there's a wealth of information there that will do you and your children good. Thank you for sharing that. The last episode I want us to look at again was the one, and I think every episode we've looked at so far ties into this, mentorship. How did you find that?
One of the key things that was shared about mentorship was about the perspective in which a mentor is introduced to a child. When mentors are introduced to a child because they're perceived as a problem, then you're not going to get a child's buy-in.
Right.
If a child has already got issue with self-esteem, and then you're compounding that by saying you need a mentor, then that is not the right reference and the right use of the word mentor, because mentorship is about guiding. Mentors help bring out what's
best
in you, out of you. And you can't educate somebody. Educare is a Latin word. The root word of education is called educare, and it means to bring out, to bring forth. So mentors are there to bring forth out of an individual, whether you're an adult or a child. But if if you've already called me a problem, what is it you want to bring out exactly? You don't want to engage in that problem. Yes. So the way mentorship is presented in some schools, not all schools, some schools have an excellent, I'm not going to start naming any, but an excellent way in which they have mentors guiding children. And, research shows when people do have mentors, the leaps and bounds that they make. Just as I've said before with my organization, we help parents understand that if you participate in your child's education, they're more participative in school. So that is still a form of mentorship. So it's about perspective.
Yeah, I think so. I agree. And I think I shared some of the stats about good mentorship, how it helps university students, how it helps young people. Stephen, what?
Yeah, I mean, because a mentor as well, and I just like what you said there in terms of them not being labelled in a negative way prior to having that mentor. Because like you said, the mentor, the only thing is they're going to come alongside you. They're going to come alongside you and get you to think about this part of you to help you move forward rather than that label. And, I've done mentoring for quite some time right now. And just to have a younger person be able to say, you know what? Yeah. And asking the right questions, what do we say? We know all the things that we usually ask, asking them open questions so that they're able to talk to you a little bit more rather than saying, we want to change this behavior. It's not about changing a certain behavior. So to say you're getting a mentor to change your behavior, I think you're turning what mentoring is on, or you're turning it upside down, and it's counterproductive when we do that.
I think there was something else that was raised in the episode about the commitment, about the togetherness from mentee and mentor. A mentor might be willing, but if the mentee is not willing, then how do they work together? So I think that's quite important as well, because as a mentor, I can't be running after you, and you might even tell me I need a mentor, but you're not really ready for that.
I had it when I was mentoring for a certain organization, and I've got to say, the groundwork that goes into allocating a mentor as well has to be, it has to be right. The fine details to see whether the mentee is going to be compatible. So, and we went through all that process, and I was seeing a young man first time, and I think it was the first time I was seeing him, and seen him because all the mentoring is done outside. And he said, yeah, my girlfriend's coming. I'm like, okay. This is you and I time. Your girlfriend doesn't need to be here. He said, yeah, but she wants to see how this is going. I'm like, so there was nothing I said. There was nothing I said in the moment that would stop his girlfriend from coming by. So I let it slide. I let it slide that first time. But then after we finished, they're like, right, is this something you want? Or is this something that your mum wants you to want? So then I had to process that and understand that, okay, it's his mum who wants it because she's out at work. So I'm like, essentially, I'm a nanny for that time. So I'm like, okay, this is not what mentoring is about.
That's
You know, so we have to the fine details of why you have that mentor, why, and you know how it will work, the modalities of that. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So these were thanks, guys. The mentoring, dyslexia,
mental health.
mental health.
Dropping
It all
out,
ties,
university.
dropping
All
out.
together.
It does.
It all ties together.
It does.
And I want to believe that we've done well in terms of trying to bring out the best in how people reveal. And hopefully, if you haven't watched any, please go back to the episodes. Iyanu story, having dyslexia, what it means, and the times that we are in with dyslexia as well as the power of mentorship.
Yeah.
I think these are important things that we could explore much more. But I want to say thank you to Eliyo and Stephen for helping us analyze this and throw more light on it. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Echoes of Our Community. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We find our place, echoes of our